Ooh, now that's cool. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for our weekly mod collection demo shop update. Starting our show tonight is the Pearlple Les Paul Custom. We've seen this get used quite often. It's like a pearlescent purple, hence the blending of our name, but it's Purple Ebony. So far, the top looks pretty basic, just a new custom color. Are they talking about ebony fretboard being special? No, they are not. It's the back that's ebony as well as the neck. However, they gave it a purple extended stinger. If we go back to our full back shot and adjust the contrast, you can see it much better. It goes nearly halfway down the neck. But holy cow, almost 11 pounds. That's chunky for a modern guitar. However, knowing about the stinger, that 5200 was a pretty good deal. Next up, we've got a cool Les Paul Classic in Disco Green. That's a pretty good name for it. It's very sparkly and an ultra deep hue. Probably one of those finishes better appreciated in person. Looks like we got the finish on the edges as well. And nice! Matching headstock. And they put a green Les Paul model silkscreen on it. I actually really like that. How's the back? Wow, that is a complete gloss refinish, but definitely had a bit of a premium built into the price. However, to justify the premium, besides the full refinish, they give it custom shop electronics with custom bucker pickups and bumblebee caps, all hand wired. I'm not surprised it sold. And if that dark green sparkle was a little bit too much, how about just a regular metallic green, this time done up on a Les Paul Standard 50s? It's looking pretty nice with the cream plastics, although this one has a dark red back. And if standards aren't your style, how about this Axcess custom, done up in Satin Seaweed sparkle finish. I like this one too, the gold hardware really pops and makes it great and blingy. Perfect if you like Floyd roses anyway. Ooh, looks like they put the modern PCB system in here. When it comes to these Axcess customs, there's just not a lot of custom colored ones out there. So it's nice to see some variations. This finish really shows you the comfort carves back here, as well as on your neck, your apex head carve. These things truly are freaky. But for $3,100, they have this strange thing. Almost looks like those old Soviet pickups. But I do believe what they've done here is it's still the regular P90 because it's got your typical mounting screws, but they put one of those grill covers over top of the uncovered P90 and then put mini humbucker surrounds over it. I think in order to pull this off, they needed some sort of a burst color. Because these weird guitars usually had something like that, a big, bold black border and then like red or some other weird color. Here's another pretty cool hollow body example. Very yes to the chrome radio knobs. If this would have had that, it would have been a must-have. And oh my goodness, there it is. It's on the back. They just didn't do the top. That's such a letdown. But maybe this has a color shifting effect or something else special to it that we can't appreciate in stock photography. Next up, we got metallic burnt orange Thunderbird non-reverse bass. Burnt orange with a matching headstock and a clear pick guard with a complete refinish. But you'll have to let me know how you feel about this custom, a 57.3 pickup in cherry dogwood. Whenever I think of stinky dogwood trees, I just get upset, but this one, it's just your regular mahogany top R7, but has a cherry finish. And oh, chrome hardware, that makes it a bit different, and then uncovered pickups, no pick guard stock from the factory, no change to the face of the headstock, and then a natural cherry colored back. I like this waviness here in the wood. And oh cool, the return of the DS style serial numbers. Here's Hyperberry Satin. Basically, they took one of the Blue Fade SG Moderns, but they gave it one of those metallic white coats over top of it. And then they played around with our pickups and pickup rings just a tad, and gave it a kind of matching headstock, and did a completely new finish on the back. Oh, and completely different tuners. But how about this name, Vlavender Satin? It's a purple satin flying V with black pick guard that's multiply, and they threw the pickup rings on it just for good measure, gave us the old high performance style UFO knobs. Interestingly, gave us one of those shortly lived versions of the flying V truss rod cover, done up in white versus the black pick guard. Gave us an older style flying V case, and did a complete refin on the back. And then lastly, this is my favorite one this week. Now it has more so of a fade finish rather than a burst, but it has a very unique honeycomb-like pattern to it. Now they called it Southern Black Racer, which I don't necessarily understand the reference, but it's a nice cobalt blue burst with a little bit of silver. Looks like we have a glitter effect within the finish, maybe even in the darker areas. But they give us slightly bolder decals up here. At least the Gibson logo is a darker orange color. But what really sold me on this one is the back. They went crazy enough to put the design on the back plate, and then the neck has something special going on. Straight up silver, and then you get some more of the honeycomb design, also doing a fade into that blue into the darker color. They also upgraded you to a hard shell case instead of the soft gig bag. I was tempted to buy this one, but I was thinking it was a Les Paul Studio, but they've labeled it as a tribute. Now so much has been changed, it's kind of hard to tell. You would have to determine what style neck it has. Does it have the maple neck or does it have the mahogany neck? Because at a studio, it's a great deal. At a tribute, you're definitely paying a hefty premium. Unfortunately, the specs don't tell us. It tells us everything else, like fingerboard material. I think that's one small area that they've forgotten on the website. Because that's true on all listings, like here's the 80s Flying V, regular retail one. But now we'll head on over to the UK mod collection. I was able to catch 4 listings, 3 of which honestly weren't that impressive. We had SG Modern Blueberry Fade. Now it says they swapped out our pickups, gave it transparent blue pickup rings, which if you really zoom in here, you can just barely see. They're just under the chrome toppers. That's like demo shop level stuff. They had a gold top, they did similar things, custom bucker pickups. And then a standard 50s with a nice top that, again, they just played with the electronics. The only mod collection worthy thing was this cool Les Paul Classic, which might not have caught your attention at first. It's completely ebony, they've got the reflector knobs on it, uncovered pickups, you've got a Les Paul Customs pickguard on it, so maybe not that impressive at first. But then you flip it over to the back and, oh, nice, olive drab finish. And it looks like the sides are also that, so a black top olive drab Les Paul, that's pretty cool. Next up, let's check out the USA demo shop. I think it's finally safe to say the Adam Jones craze is over. Well, as far as anything Silverburst receiving a huge premium anymore, because here we go. It sat on the market for 3 days. Nobody's wanted it for $700 off. I mean, there was a time people were paying premiums over the $31.99 initial price tag. Now, in no means am I saying these are bad guitars or undesirable anymore. It's just the market has finally been satiated with what is available. It only took us like 4 years. Speaking of which, that weird fork headstock Flying V I think is supposed to be coming out soon. At least I'd heard some rumors about it. But similar to Silverburst, we've got a Cobra Burst figure top double cut. It's $3,700, maybe not the most impressive top, but with this finish you don't necessarily need it to be an explosive one because just the graininess of it kind of works for it. I still need to document one of these. They've been out for almost 5 years now and I still haven't found one that I want to document anyway. That's a combination of finding one for the right price and finding one that I think is a unique example. But oh cool, it's got one of the Gator cases. There's another Matopa Wataru signature SG standard bass. I really like this 50 standard top. It's $2,300. It almost reminds me of Spruce. And I think that's just because of how flat the flames are. They're perfectly horizontal. There's not a lot of diagonalness to them or any curving. It's very uniform. You don't see that too often. Next, there was a pretty interesting standard 60s and honey amber finish. It had some very tight flames to it, kind of reminded me of the 2018s era. However, it was modern. But this was probably the coolest thing. The demo shop gave one of the Rick Beato signatures a new custom finish. So normally these things are a lighter shade of blue called TV Blue Mist, but this time they gave it something called Cobalt Blue. It's a little bit more striking, and unfortunately they had to remove the Rick Beato part of it. But that's the only double cut exactly spec'd like this, so it had to have started life as one of those. And we've been seeing a few of these move through the demo shop lately. And those things started as satin finishes anyway, so because it is one isn't necessarily a deterrent in this case. But it sold. And if you're sad you missed the custom color Beato, it's back up on Reverb. He's asking $3,900. But it wouldn't surprise me if we see another run of Beato signatures in a different color one day. So as far as the future collectability of this particular one, it depends how many more Gibson does, as far as weird custom color mod collection demo shop versions. But check out this Flying V. They did something a couple of weeks back in the mod collection with this. We've got our stars and stripes with red, white, and blue rings and knobs. And if you think that's a little bit cheesy, easy enough to replace. But what you could not get rid of is this on the back. It's kind of like a Stinger, but not exactly. I could see somebody that's just a big fan of like basketball liking that on the back of their guitar, even if this part wasn't their favorite. So this one was pretty cool and sold at a discount. Now beware of this next one, it's rather shocking. They called it Copper Rose, it's a standard 50s. Looks very similar to the Rose Gold Les Paul Traditional, that was a Guitar Center exclusive. But you got a P94 in the neck, uncovered humbucker. Looks relatively tame from the front, but then you switch it over to the back and it's like, whoa, some sort of like a brownish red color. Got a super extended pink stinger. It's an interesting color combination. Not my favorite, but hopefully it speaks to someone, because it's on their way to their house right now. Then did you know there's Tobacco Sunburst 61 SGs out there? But these are Guitar Center exclusives. And they're $2,000 brand new, but it looks like they've got some open box for 16. That just goes to show you how good of a deal 14 truly was. That seems rather cheap for one of these, especially in the full-on gloss finish. It's got cool wood grain. Now, unfortunately, we do not have anything on the back. It's just the top that's being burst. But now let's take a trip over to the UK demo shop. They're having a huge sale, so 25% off 3 different items, including this double cut prototype, knocking it down all the way to $3,800. It appears to have been some sort of a double cut Les Paul Studio in a roundabout way. Some prototypes are more exciting than others. But take a look at this, one of the Carina Flying V's, including value-added tax, $5,600. I mean, you gotta remember, those are like 10,000 USD. Pretty confident we're below dealer cost at this point. It's a nice looking example. I don't see anything overly wrong with it, except for they stamped a demo 4 times, which I just find hilarious and actually might add to the value in the future. Has the Carina demand also been met? I always thought it was just the price tag on these things that scared people away, but here it is, regular mahogany prices, essentially. I mean, this one doesn't even have any, separations at the neck. I mean, it's just got a couple of dings around the fretboard, nothing to worry about. Someone needs to scoop that thing up. Then they also have other categories from 10% to 15%, 20%, so you can check that out on Reverb. Another standout one is this thin satin prototype. Again, not all that exciting, it's just a satin finish, but technically still a prototype. But as far as the most interesting things that were listed this week, an old True Historic 59 reissue. The price tag seems very expensive, but the True Historics are like creme de la creme. Great stuff. This one's got a nice top, but I love the back. That's just awesome. It's very aniline dyed, but not over the top at the same time. And this one has been heavily aged, which is the reason why it's so expensive, on top of being a great R9. But then you gotta live with this big demo stamp on the back. That's pretty much your only downside here with this aged guitar. And it looks like they wrote on the case what was in it, rather than using blue painter's tape. Then there's one of the 60th anniversary R9s, but this time with a Bolivian rosewood fretboard. I thought this typo was a little bit funny. Standard. So basically, in the 2019, 2020, and maybe even current eras, I'm not entirely too sure, the export models got Bolivian rosewood. And at one point in time, there was actually going to be a Bolivian rosewood /signature coming up, and it hasn't ended up happening yet. That doesn't mean it won't, but it's eventually what became the Vermillion Burst USAs, as far as we're concerned at this point in time in 2023. Not really impressed by that fretboard, although it does look like it might be a conditioning process away from looking good. And lastly, our European friends also have a sale. I did not see a 25% off category, but there was a 20, a 15, and a 10. And what stood out from this week's offerings are basically just a couple of acoustics. They've been doing those a lot, with rosewood looking back in size that are actually walnut in this case. This was the G Rider at 16-ish. There's the G45, part of the Generation series again. We've got our walnut back inside again. Then they had an SJ200 Studio, this time with rosewood. Normally I'd just be like, if you're gonna get the J200, you might as well get the one that has the binding and everything. Now we had documented the Noel Gallagher, which was kinda similar, not exactly. You could check that one out. It does have a vibe, not having all the binding on the neck. Now this one's got the Gibson decals, that's how they save a little bit of money, that's why it's a Studio. You still get the nice inlays, and the rosewood back and sides, that's a premium feature. And lastly, a hummingbird. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed the recap this week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.